today's video, getting a lot more personal. Let's do it. Move closer so we can chat like buddies, yeah. How to survive a spiritual awakening when you are in a relationship. I really want to make this video because it's one of the most difficult things I've had to personally navigate through. And I hope my experience will help you all out there. Hi soulmates, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Jules, your virtual law of attraction coach. And in this video, I really want to talk about spiritual awakening and relationships. Specifically when you have awakened and your partner has not. Or you're going through an awakening and your partner is still asleep. This can be very, very, very tough. And I believe it is the reason most long-term relationships end, when partners are accused of changing, like, oh, you've changed. Or people say, oh, we grew apart, or we just grew apart, we've grown apart. You know, when people say stuff like that, it's actually likely that someone went through an awakening and their partner either didn't quite understand, maybe they weren't supportive, or they were just totally unaware of what was happening, or they really just wasn't interested at all. You know, this is super challenging, and I know from personal experience. Now, I knew exactly what I needed to do for myself to grow through and progress in my spiritual journey and further elevate my consciousness. But when your partner just doesn't understand, they just don't get it, it can be really, really, really tough to deal with. But if you're both spiritual people and you have awareness of like awakenings and stuff, even though it can still be challenging, it's likely to be less challenging because either of you would recognize that whatever your partner may be facing or however your partner's journey may be affecting you is also shaping your awakening and elevating your consciousness, right? So you'll have that awareness. But when one partner is totally asleep, the challenge can be detrimental. See, when you go through an expansion of awareness, you begin to relate to the world in a totally different way. You see things in the way that they truly are, and you become very conscious and aware of the energies that you keep around you. And the other thing is, you also go within so much because you know that that's where everything is. You know that that's where everything that you need is. You don't need anything without, right? But when you go within so much, sometimes you tend to isolate yourself from those around you, especially when they don't understand what you're going through or the things that you are learning and becoming more aware of. So you don't talk about it, right? That was my experience. I went through my awakening and it completely changed the way I walked, the way I talked, the way I thought. Everything shifted and I couldn't relate to a lot of people anymore. I went within because I was the only one who understood what I was going through, you know? People couldn't really relate to me and my partner felt the distance, naturally. See, I actually do have the understanding that a lot of people aren't ready to hear a lot of things that I was learning and discovering, even though I wanted so badly to share, you know, because like you have this incredible feeling and you just want to share it with everyone. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to share that with others when you feel this amazing? You know, I feel this great, so like you should do this too, right? And you will feel this amazing. But I began to understand, and I did understand very, very early on, that spiritual journey is a very, very, very personal journey, and everyone has to come to it on their own time and through their own experiences. So I started to do what most of us do to relate and fit in when you have to, right? I started wearing a mask. The mask goes on when I leave the house, and when I go out there and interact and fit in and talk about things that I wasn't really interested in talking about. And then I became agreeable with things that I didn't necessarily believe, just engaging in negative conversations and gossip and all the things that I felt like I should do just so I could relate to people. You know, but when I got home, the mask then comes off and I'll go into like meditation or mindfulness or whatever, just to try to undo all that, right? Take your mind back from the man. It was so exhausting. And I had a really difficult time finding that balance between relating and appreciating my experiences in the 3D and continuing to feed my spiritual growth Now, if someone isn't going through that, they couldn't possibly understand. So I talked to no one about my spirituality, especially not my partner, who was not so spiritual, for the most part. And this happens to so many people. You feel alone and not very relatable. So there's this tendency to isolate yourself from those around you, including your partner and family and friends. So how do you deal? How do you survive a spiritual awakening when you are in a relationship, a marriage, a partnership, whatever? Isolation is not the answer, first of all. It is not. It is not the answer. Because when you isolate yourself, you're kind of cutting yourself off from the experience. You're cutting yourself off from this experience, not allowing yourself to fully enjoy being human, So you want to make sure you find that balance between being able to have your spiritual practices, being able to expand your consciousness, and be in the present moment to connect and enjoy the human experience, right, that you're here to have. And how do you do that? So when you're in this awareness, right, this expansion of how you think, the way to deal with others is you become the observer. You become the observer. This means that you're just a spectator of the interactions that you're encountering. So you are present in the moment. You're engaging with them. You're there. You're experiencing them. You are being totally human in their presence. So it's quite all right to be around, those people that you don't necessarily relate to completely. But when you're in those conversations, when you're in those interactions in any way, just observe. See the interaction as an experience, Just respect their energy and their level of knowing, because it's okay. Everyone has the right to be who they are and where they are. So once you have that respect for their energy, you begin to just view their opinions or responses or even their actions as, that's very interesting. Wow. Like you begin to just see this as an experience, and you'll start to have joy watching people, even in their foolishness, because you're not really taking it on. You're just observing and appreciating, right? So I began doing this. I began just observing people, and I started to just respond with, that's very interesting, or, oh, wow, that's really intriguing, or that's really fascinating, So yeah, I just became a listener in the conversations that weren't quite going the way that I would prefer to engage, but believed I had to engage in, whether it was for work or with family or with friends or even with my partner. I respected their energies and where they were without interjecting my knowing on them, unless it was solicited. And also, without bringing myself into their frequency to engage, which is so important because that's what I had been doing before. I was putting myself on their frequency, and I'm not gonna say it was a good or a bad frequency, a negative or positive or anything, but I would put myself on their frequency to engage and relate and contribute to that energy that they're building. But now I have the power to be in a conversation without exerting my energy into feeling that vibration, I become that spectator again that just appreciates what I'm experiencing for exactly what it is, without judgment, without pacing, or without even interjecting my anything on it, right? So that's what I began to do. The other thing you have to do is you have to focus on yourself. Okay? If your partner is not where you are in their awareness or their awakening or their journey or whatever, allow them to be. Allow them to go at their own pace. We cannot force people to come along with us on our awakening, on our journey. Everyone's journey is unique. Everyone's journey is totally different, okay? Some people may not even awaken in this lifetime. Some people may not even wake up in your lifetime. It may take many more lifetimes before they wake up. So don't be too eager to involve your partner or your family or the people around you, your friends, whatever, on your journey. Again, have the respect for their energy and their stage of awareness. Even if you're dealing with a partner who is constantly in, let's say, a negative state, in a state of negativity, it's still important to respect that. It's still important to allow them to be. I know it can be difficult when you're moving into this state of positivity and awareness and all love and flowing on a higher vibrational frequency, and you have a partner who is constantly vibrating on a lower vibration, on a lower frequency. That can be really, really hard, because it's like, how can you relate anymore? How can you ever have a conversation? You don't really want to constantly hear only negativity, and you also don't want to overly encourage your partner to be more positive. You know, you don't want to tell them you have to be more positive, or you need to read these books and you need to better yourself. Like, this creates a major gap in relationships, because it's like, do we even have anything in common anymore? Are we still compatible? It becomes this constant internal struggle, and you begin to even wonder if you should be together. If you are at a crossroads like this, understand something, okay? Whatever's happening in your relationship, whatever you're going through, the gap that keeps widening, the uncertainty, the frustration, it's all there to further your expansion. Yes, it is. It is for you to further evolve on your spiritual journey. And your partner too, actually, really. So start looking at this as an expansion of your consciousness, okay? And not so much as something that's hindering your growth or in your way. See, being around people who don't have the same awareness as you do teaches you how to become more sovereign in your spirituality. I'm going to tell you guys something so profound that one of my mentors shared, and it really solidified everything for me. When you are awake and your partner isn't, how are you handling it? Are you talking about it constantly with your friends, your family, and everyone who would listen about all the challenges, about how your partner is so difficult to deal with right now? Are you forcing them to read all these self-help books, all these self-development articles or videos or whatever, in an attempt to get them to where you are, and they're not doing it? So then you're complaining, you're angry, you're thinking about it, that's your focus. If you are, then you're still very much being led by your ego. And this is the lesson that they're here to teach you. It is the ego that seeks to control. It is the ego that continuously wants to focus on the unhappiness. Now, this was a major aha for me, because even though I had not been negatively talking about it with friends or family or whatever, because again, I do truly believe in respecting all energies and where they are and who they are, it still made me go, but I have been thinking it though. So I immediately had to make that shift. Once I had that awareness, I made the shift to giving gratitude to my partner for helping me shave away more and more of my ego. And this was all done internally, of course. I didn't say, oh, honey, thank you so much for helping me kill my ego again. Hey, no, obviously, because he'd be like, what are you talking about? WTF. But I did give gratitude. I became so grateful, because the ego is very tricky, you know. It doesn't die once, all right? You'll continue to uncover layers upon layers upon layers to slay. So when I say the challenges you may be going through with your partner are there to help you, I mean, look closely within. Are there parts of you that are seeking to control the other in any way? Are you wishing that are you wishing for your partner to be this, to be that? If you are, then you have some work to do. And that work, my dear, has nothing to do with your partner. It's time to go within and begin pouring into yourself. Continue to pour into yourself until you have no need to have your partner be anything for you, to make you feel your sovereignty, to make you feel anything. Once I did this, I had the utmost appreciation for my partner, because I learned so much about myself. I connected to the divine in a way that I had never done before. And I defeated my ego again, which is such a big victory. And it was my partner who helped me do so. See, our partners are our greatest mirrors, okay? Especially when they're your soulmate, because they're here to teach you a deeper lesson about yourself. They show us all the limitations and programs we may have believed that we've gotten rid of in our journey, or we didn't even know we had. Another thing is, if you have this belief that your partner is asleep, your partner is this, your partner is that, or your partner isn't not this and your partner isn't that, and you continue to think only about that, solely focus on that, you only focus on what is not right in your relationship, guess what you're doing? Yeah, you are attracting more of that. You are always going to see that they are asleep. So for many years, I began to solely focus on what is good, what is going right. Even though the gap was there, even if you have a gap, even if you don't have things in common anymore or whatever, what is good in your relationship? Start there, because if you expect the worst in them, you will continue to attract that version of them, okay? So soulmates, if you are in such a predicament with your partner, my advice is to approach everything that is happening with gratitude, and always look within whenever you begin to feel a tinge of ego, whenever you begin to feel as if your partner is doing something or not doing something that is not making you feel happy in any way. If you feel like your partner is hindering your growth in any way, or if you feel like your partner is doing something that's necessarily what you agree with, whatever you feel, whenever you feel that negativity in your aura, you have to go within and find where it's stemming from. from? Most likely it's stemming from the ego. Once you bring that to light, you'll find yourself able to love, accept, and respect your partner's energy wherever it is. A solid meditation practice is an excellent way to connect within. And I will link or insert a link to my meditation to fuel your inner body, because that is one of the most profound ways to connect with your higher self, to connect with source, all right? So when you're facing this in your spiritual journey, don't immediately jump to leaving your partner. If you simply call it quits because your partner isn't where you are, that's your ego talking. That's your ego leading you. You are acting from ego. So take in what's happening and ask yourself how it's helping you become aware of yourself through the challenge of your relationship. Once you do, you'll be a lot more receptive to the messages from source, and the universe will let you know if and when it is time to walk away. And in fact, you will feel it, because you'll know yourself, because you will be so receptive to all the messages that are flowing in from source, from God, from the universe, wherever. You will be so receptive, and you will be so sovereign that every single move, every single decision you make, it will be a no-brainer, and you will understand, and you will know, you won't question whether it's right or wrong. You won't have that question of, is it time to go? Is it not time to go? Is it time to leave? Is it time to call it quits? Like, you won't have those questions, okay? Feeling peace is an inside job. It's internal. It has nothing to do with the external. However, I will say this, I am aware that some relationships in this space, especially in an awakening and sleepiness, they can be quite toxic and abusive. If that is your case, please do whatever you have to do to protect your energy and protect your vessel. There are instances where even after you do the deep work, even after you become love and exemplify love and embody love, some partners can't handle that. Their egos can't accept that you are not engaging in the toxic behaviors or the negativity that they are brewing. Your sovereignty will make them uncomfortable because they are totally ruled by their ego. So in the case where it's not safe for you to remain in the relationship, do what you have to do to protect yourself at all costs, okay? But if you're not in an abusive space and you're tussling with a decision on whether to terminate it because you're awake and your partner is still asleep, and there's this gap, and you feel the disconnect and you're feeling the distance, I say, don't let that be your focus right now. Table that decision for now and focus on yourself. You may eventually terminate the relationship, for sure, absolutely, that's a possibility. However, you may also not terminate the relationship. Remember that your partner is an extension of source energy as you are as well. Even though they're not awakened, they're still just as divine as you. You are no better than they are. They are a divine aspect of source, here to help you raise your consciousness. They're helping you move more and more into your higher self. The more you awaken, the more your heart opens. You become love in bodily form, and the less you see separation between you and your partner, or between you and anyone else. You will become unified with them, with everyone. I'm not saying that you will be with them in the end, but you will see them as divine. They will be an extension of you, and you will drop all these ideas you had about how they should be behaving, as you would with everyone else, because you will start to see them and everyone through the eyes of source. All right. Now, there are one of two outcomes that could happen when you reach this state, right? Your partner will either naturally awaken because you're now attracting the higher version of them, or they will just vibrate out of your frequency altogether if they choose to resist the awakening, because the energy of awakening is very contagious. It cannot be forced. However, when you focus on the good of your partner, when you focus on yourself and you just move into that higher octave of who you are, that higher iteration of you, the people around you will naturally shift as well. You will naturally begin to attract people of the same frequency. And this could be the same people in your life who will just better themselves and improve themselves just because of your energy, or new people. Either way is just perfect, okay? So continue to focus on you, all right? So I really hope this helps you guys out there in navigating through you if you're experiencing something like this. I know it's not easy, I do know, but I also know that you got this. You are a warrior, and you're going to make it on the higher side. Okay, so that's it for this video. I really hope it's helpful, or that you found it a little bit enlightening. And if it was, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel for more inspiring videos to help keep you in high vibrations, and share this with anyone who you think could use this message right now, okay? Now, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't ever miss any of my uploads, because this year I am making videos to inspire you to live in your power and create a life of limitless abundance. soulmates. Thank you so much for coming to another video. Now, I know this one's a bit longer than my usual videos, but I really want to thank you for sticking around if you stuck around to the end and sharing your energy with me in this video, and I will see you in my next one. Cheers.